Right, what's good, troops? This is JMB434 back with another episode of NXT Back to Black and Gold. This is the series where we recap the history of the revamped NXT dating back from 2012 to 2021. Now, if you haven't seen the first couple of episodes, I do suggest you go back and watch. If you're a fan of the series, remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny. So here we go. So the show starts with highlights of last week's great main event match with Seth Rollins defeating Jinder Mahal to win the NXT Championship. And we do get a segment at the end of the show with JR and Seth Rollins. The other match tonight sees Richie Steamboat facing Cassius Ohno following a confrontation from last week with Ohno destroying his opponent. Steamboat stood up to Ohno and challenged him to a match, which Ohno accepted. Match starts with a lockup. Steamboat gets a headlock in. Steamboat hits a shoulder tackle for a 2 count. Ohno gets up and shoves Steamboat. Steamboat hits 2 beautiful knife edge chops and hits Ohno into the corner with another chop. Steamboat's chops, by the way, were fucking great. I can't lie. These chops were fucking fantastic. These were pre-Gunther days. Steamboat continues the attack with some right hands. Steamboat whips Ohno, and Ohno gets a knee to the face to counter. Steamboat fights back with a bad body drop. Steamboat was on top. Ohno gets a right to the eyes and pleads with the referee not to disqualify him. Steamboat fights back with some. Steamboat does fight back again with some chops. Ohno again gets a right to the eyes, and the referee does disqualify him this time. Okay. Interesting. But right decision in a way, because it is technically a disqualification, which I wasn't really happy with, because this match had the potential of being a very, very good match. Richie Steamboat, it's just a shame he never got as far as he should have done. At the end of the match, Ohno attacks Steamboat, taking him out of the ring, and drops Steamboat into the steel guardrail. Ohno then attacks Steamboat in the ring and hits a bull hammer to the side of the ear. Ohno was laughing as Steamboat was pretty much knocked out with his legendary father, Ricky the Dragon. Steamboat comes into the ring, checks on the well-being of his son. Ricky goes crazy at the medical team, which necessarily was not their fault, but I would not want to mess with Ricky at his age. Yeah. We get more Ricky Steamboat a little bit later on, but we actually have a women's match. Woohoo! We have Paige going one-on-one with Audrey Marie. Crowd fully behind Paige here. It starts with a lockup. Audrey starts with a headlock. Paige tries to fight out of it. Audrey showed a lot of strength to take down Paige, and to not let her. Paige fights back with a hammerlock and some good footwork. Paige gets on top before Audrey takes down Paige. A bit of back and forth. We're pushing each other's heads into the mat. This was a typical women's match. This is what we had on the main roster during that time. Audrey gets a 2 count. Paige gets a lovely right hand and gets on top with some head slams. Paige inflicts more damage and screams. Lovely. And it's a Paige Turner for the 3 count. This was what I tend to call a typical 2-minute women's match, as you got during the days of Raw. During the days of SmackDown during this time. William Regal describes Paige as hell in boots. I'll not disagree there. Ricky Steamboat's backstage, tries to get into the trainer's room to find out the well-being of his son Richie to find Cassius Ohno. This time Cassius Ohno looks a different person. He was wearing his glasses. Cassius says, "Oh, Ricky Steamboat, I'm a huge fan," and offers his hands to Ricky. Ricky says, "You think you're so tough?" Steamboat shoves Ohno, and it looked like there was going to be a potential match with Cassius Ohno and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I'm glad it did not happen because Ricky was well past his peak then. Next up, we have Leo Kruger going one-on-one with Percy Watson. Percy tries to get the crowd going. Leo starting off with some mind games with a weird look in his eyes. Starts with a headlock, little lockup. Kruger hits some shots to the knee with some knees being put on there, and a snap suplex to follow. Kruger hits several shots to the back of Percy Watson's head with more rights, with Watson on the turnbuckle. A stomp to the gut, and that is for a 2 count. Kruger hits some shots again and works onto the head. Watson gets whipped to the corner and hits an elbow and knocks out Kruger. Kruger hits a body slam and then misses an elbow. Watson gets his momentum with some rights and two beautiful drop kicks. Percy Watson's leaping was fucking great, by the way. Watson takes down Kruger with the back elbow. Watson hits the Showtime splash for another 2 count. Kruger continues with a twisted neck slam to the floor, and that's for a 3 count. It's a decent showing by Percy Watson, but his best work came years later, alongside a certain Mauro Ranallo and a Mr. Nigel McGuinness. Good lord, do I have Mr. on commentary. We get a Raw recap before the match with Jerry the King Lawler attacking CM Punk in the back, with leading Punk to attack Lawler and teaching a lesson in respect. General Manager AJ Lee announces Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena, and later on the night sees Sheamus versus CM Punk. Punk leaves the building with his lovely future wife telling him he has a match. Punk said he's got to go due to an emergency. Get highlights of John Cena against Alberto Del Rio. As we head to the back, Punk attacks Cena during the match with Del Rio, and it's GTS and costs Cena the match. Next up, we have Brodus Clay going one-on-one with Brandon Traven. Get an appearance from the Funkadactyls, which was Naomi and Cameron. One went on to excellence, and the other, not so much. Match starts with a headlock. Clay shoves Traven into the floor. Clay hits another shoulder tackle and a splash into the corner. Clay hits a fall-away slam followed by a headbutt. Brodus then hits a splash to end the match within less than a minute. I think I saw more time of the Funkadactyls dancing than wrestling in this match. At the end, we got some kids joining Clay, Naomi, and Cameron in the ring. I think pretty much Naomi and Cameron were the only things I was looking at during this match. The match was just a complete squash. Shame, really. Tag team match, main event, tag team match. We had the Ascension going against the Usos. Match starts with Kenneth and Jimmy Uso with hell breaking loose with the Usos, then double clotheslining Connor outside. Usos then double team and take Cameron out to the outside of the ring as well as we go into commercial break. Ref gets control of the match, starts with the Usos double teaming Cameron into the corner. Jimmy gets the tag and a back elbow for a 2 count. Cameron fights back and a blind tag by Connor for a 2 count. Connor's in full control into the corner, but another blind tag and stomps relentlessly. There was a lot of blind tags by the Ascension, completely destroying Jimmy into the corner. Connor gets a chokehold on Jimmy. Jim Ross was very impressed by the tag team work of the Ascension. Jimmy fights back, and after another blind tag by Cameron, Cameron continues the attack and works on the arm with the body scissors. Jimmy gets some multiple right hands in. Cameron gets back on top, and Connor gets a blind tag and continues work on the body with the head scissor takeover. Crowd edges on Jimmy as Jimmy gets a kick to the sternum of Connor. Connor hits Jay off to the apron. This was pre-Yeet, by the way. This is good times of the Usos. No, the Uso penitentiary was bad. Big partner. Jay tries getting in to be prevented by the referee. More double team work by the Ascension. Gets another 2 count. Cameron again works onto the arms. Tags in Connor with some right hands and a side head takedown. Connor continues to work. With another headlock on Jimmy. Jimmy fights out of it. And some shots to the guts of Connor. Jay tries to urge on the crowd with some claps, thankfully not yeeting. Jimmy then makes the tag. Jay gets a hot tag, and Jay works on both men. Jay gets Cameron into the corner. Jay hits the ass attack, which his father made famous, or we could say Yoko really made famous. Jay then hits a super kick to the sternum of Connor. It's another super kick then on Cameron. Jimmy hits what I call a crazy mad splash that was over the top rope. That was fucking sick what Jimmy Uso was doing there. Cameron then hits an inverted neck breaker for the 3 count. This was actually a very good match. Excellent tag team work by the Ascension. And their old theme was fire, by the way. Now, I did not mind the Ascension's new theme, but I thought this theme was way better. To close the show, Seth Rollins makes his way to the ring after the championship win over Jinder Mahal, with Jim Ross interviewing him after the match. Seth does his signature swinging of the belt after winning any title. Jarrett congratulates Rollins and says one hell of a match, and asks how did he survive the back injury to win the title. Rollins said he knew it would Summit would come along, but not his back, and Summit would stop his way to the top. Rollins brings up the Mahal said that he was a born loser, and he had it on a daily basis on his mind, and he said that nothing was going to stop him. Jim Ross asked how does he feel to be the Hunted. Rollins said that there's no bullet on his back, he would paint one on himself anyway, and that he's a fighting champion. Said if you've earned a shot, and he will fight them, and everyone will be blacked out if they get in this way. To close off the show. Not as good as last week. Disappointed with some of the in-ring action. It was nice to see a women's match for a change. I thought it was a lack of there. There was pretty much 2 squash matches. I thought the women's match was okay. Opening match was okay. Best match of the night was definitely the Ascension against the Usos. So I'm going to start giving results. I'll give the show 4 out of 10 because Paige looked good as well, the Funkadactyls. So anyway, that's the end of this episode of Back to Black and Gold. If you are enjoying the series, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Hit like on the video. And I will see you all for the next episode of Back to Black and Gold. Other than that, take care.